All right, folks, let's get started. So, my name is Chad Jackson with Lifecycle Insights. I'm going to be hosting the webinar today, telling you about what's going on with it, and I'm the lead on that effort. So, let me first give you a little context about what we're going to talk about today. So, I think we have an hour scheduled here. It's not going to take that long. I think that we'll probably get done with this in about 45 minutes. I'm reserving 30 minutes for the slides, but it may be less time than that. And then, we can have a good 15 minutes of questions. I'm sure there will be lots of them. Everyone is muted just until we get done with the slides, just so it's clear and everybody can hear. If you have questions in the meantime, there is a chat, and it's the little button, it's a bubble in the Join Me app. Anybody can ask a question there, and I'll try to respond as best I can. Also, I am recording the webinar, so keep that in mind as we get to the Q&A. We can certainly take any questions that you might have offline. We can chat via email, or we can jump on the phone, and we can take conversations offline. Okay, so that's the context. Let's talk about the agenda. So some of you are familiar with Lifecycle Insights and me, Chad Jackson. Some of you are not. So just want to give a quick background about who we are, what the company does, and that type of stuff. And then also talk a little bit about past research on MBD. I want to talk about the purpose of the study, kind of the scope of the study. That's really super important as you do a research effort like this, to kind of control scope. As you can imagine, it's really easy to start adding in questions, and if you don't come from a top-down perspective, you can end up with a pretty unwieldy survey that almost no one completes. So that is something we'll talk about. We'll talk about the research process, kind of the major steps, and then let's talk about the Research Advisory Board. So that's an opportunity for different companies to get directly involved in the research and actually participate in development of the survey, development, analysis of the data to review that, and as well as the structure of the report and kind of help guide that. It's always important. Then I want to talk about the complementary supplier analysis. Anyone that drives over 50 respondents will get a set of findings comparing their suppliers to the general population, and that is complementary. So we'll talk about how that works and why and how we need to coordinate our efforts if you want to participate in that. And then I'll talk about the deliverables, what's going to come out of this study effort, how it can be licensed, and there's a lot of different options there. Okay, so let's get started on that. So Lifecycle Insights. So we basically digitally publish a lot of different guidance, research, educational materials on basically technology-led engineering initiatives, and that's meant to help executives and organizations adopt those initiatives more readily or make better decisions about those initiatives. So you can get more value from it, you can do it in less time, you can have more confidence, and it's less disruptive. I'm Chad Jackson. I'm the analyst, researcher, and blogger, as well as the CEO for the company. And there is my LinkedIn profile. You can always go and check that out. You can kind of see what my background is, what I've been doing, my career, and that type of stuff. If that is of interest, you can certainly take a look there. Next up, let's talk about past MBD research. So when I started this company in 2010, the first study that I've really conducted was a 3D collaboration and interoperability report. And this kind of lined up with the 3D CIC event at the time that Dave Prowl was running, and now that Jennifer Herron from Action Engineering is running, which, by the way, if you don't know about that event, you should definitely check it out. It's a great event happening in October. So that was the first study that kind of looked at how are 3D models being used in the design cycle and the development cycle. And then we followed that up in 2014 with kind of the state of model-based initiatives. We looked at, who's adopted it so far, what are the biggest challenges, what's the mix between drawings and models, and a lot of other things. Then in, I guess it was right at the beginning of 2017, so most of the study was conducted in 2016, we did this study on the ROI of MBD. And, it was really interesting. We had a data set actually that Jennifer Herron put together that people used to estimate how long it would take to create a drawing, how long it would take to annotate a model, to create the MBD. It was really, it shed a lot of light on good practices on how you really needed to adopt MBD. In some of the ROI, some of the time savings that engineering organizations could reap from adopting this type of initiative. So throughout these studies, we kind of found over time, through different findings in different studies, we found that technology really hasn't been the primary challenge in a while. As a matter of fact, in the 2014 study, we found that technology challenges were the last two in the list of about 10. So I think the technology has come a long way, and it continues to advance, and that's great stuff. One of the top challenges was justifying the initiative and the technology purchase to executives. Those were actually the top two. So that's what led us to the ROI of MBD study. What I'm seeing now in the marketplace is that there are a lot of executives, they understand there's a good ROI within engineering. They understand the good theoretical justification around using MBD in other organizations. The main question exists around, well, are my suppliers ready? And if we start delivering an MBD, are they going to be able to quote? Are they going to be able to crack a mold off of it? Are they going to be able to machine using it? Are they going to be able to inspect? Are they going to be able to run an engineering change process using it? So that became the focus of this study. That kind of led us to this point. So that, along with a private study we conducted for a manufacturer that really wanted to understand their supply base and if they were ready, because they were ready to pull the trigger. So we conducted that study in the middle of maybe early 2017, and I was frankly surprised by the results, that a lot of companies weren't currently using MBDs. However, they had the capability to use and adopt MBD processes. So that has led us to this point. So we're going to be looking at current operating state, current capability state. Those are two very different things. But are they capable, but maybe not doing it? And then what is their future plans? And then what is the value that they see in it? Do they agree with the proposed kind of theoretical value of adopting MBD? So let's go through those one by one. So current operational state, this comes directly from the site. If you go to the page, it's on the study, you'll find all of this detail. So quantitatively, how many suppliers are currently using MBD, and how committed are they to using MBD? So you might have suppliers that for half of their projects, they're using 2D drawings. And you might have, the other half of the projects, they're fully committed to, a fully annotated MBD, and they're using that for all their processes. So they kind of have one foot in each pool. So we want to understand that, and the way, that's a pretty straightforward question to ask. What are you currently doing? What's the mix of deliverables that you're currently using? And this is what that finding might look like. Okay, you're going to have percentages. Red means they're primarily in drawing. Green means they're, to varying degrees committed to MBDs. And gray is evenly distributed across all sites. And by the way, this is not a real finding. Okay, this is an example using fictional data. So let me be super clear there. This is not a real finding. This is what I hope to have at the end of the study. Okay, so this would give us some insight, whether it's the general population or your supply base, in terms of, okay, what are they doing right now? Whether it's with your stuff or without your deliverables. You might be handing them 2D drawings, and that might be contributing to your supplier's red box here. So who knows? They might be out there using MBD on other projects, and that will be a good thing to know for your company, right? The next thing we want to look at are, what are their current capabilities? So how do we quantify this? Well, for past studies, what we've done is we've come up with a list of the capabilities that are important to be able to run an MBD process, and this comes into having the technology available. It comes into what are your processes, what roles do you have in place. But frankly, as we develop this study and this new survey, I expect we're going to have more options there, right? I expect that we're going to come up with, maybe metrics are really important, and making sure that you're measuring certain things in the processes is critical to success. So some number of those measures, if you fulfill them, will make you minimally capable. So the bare minimum of using an MBD in a quoting process, an inspection process, what have you. Then you're going to have more capabilities that will make you more capable. Then, of course, if you don't fulfill the minimal number of capabilities, then you're kind of categorized as not capable. And the findings that we would probably have would look something like this. So red are the suppliers that are not currently capable to varying degrees. They might be missing 3 capabilities or 1 capability. And then those that are in green are capable to varying degrees again. Minimally capable all the way up to highly capable. Might have lots, of processes in place, roles in place, training in place, technology in place to make it such that they can use the technology. They can use MBD processes. Again, fictional finding. This is not a real finding. So that covers current operational state. That covers current capability state. Let's talk about future plans. This is pretty straightforward. This is a question that measures future intent of a specific supplier. Not only yes or no do they want to adopt MBD and use it for different processes, but what is the time frame upon which they want to act? So findings like this would look like this, right? So you have a range of results that will vary from, hey, I'm currently using it, I kind of have it in place already, from 6 months all the way up to no plans whatsoever. Again, this gives you good insights for your company to make a decision about their MBD adoption, right? So, and not only that, not only do you get insight into how many of my suppliers are actually already planning to do this, so let me help them along the way, but maybe there's outreach. Maybe there is assistance your company can provide your suppliers to help them become more educated, to understand here are the things you need to do to become capable. this is the training that you need to pursue, things along those lines, so that you can help change their plans so that you can help make them more capable. So again, fictional finding. This is not a real finding. The other aspect of this study that we want to look at is agreement or alignment. Alignment might be a better word on the expected value or benefits of adopting MBD. So there's lots of theoretical benefits, right? If you are using MBD in the quoting process, you should have more confidence in your quote. You should be able to quote more aggressively, which in turn should help you win more business. Same sort of thing, same sort of value propositions exist across inspection and machining and tooling design and all of those things, right? How much do those suppliers actually agree that they will realize those types of benefits once they make a move? So findings along these lines would look like this, right? Ranging from strongly agree all the way down to strongly disagree. So this can, not only help you define, okay, well, maybe they need some education in some different areas, but also you can, if you're not looking to change their mind completely, you can play against their ideas and help them realize the value that they're expecting to get. So fulfill their expectations as opposed to maybe changing their mind about what to expect. So those are the four main areas that we're going to cover. Again, it's current operational state, current capability state, future plans, and expectations around benefits and value, okay? And we can certainly look at perhaps expanding the scope here or there, but in general, this is going to be a complex study already. We're going to need to control the scope because, as I said before, it can quickly get out of hand, and you have a 100-question survey that no one wants to complete. So that's always critical when you're conducting a study like this. Let's talk about the research process. So what are the major phases? So here very soon, we're going to start developing the survey, and this will be part of a top-down process. Okay, what are the objectives that we want to achieve? What do we want to measure? What questions are we going to use to measure to get the outcomes or findings that we want to get? The next one is collecting respondents. We're going to do that through a number of different channels. Action Engineering is going to be helping a lot with that, as well as some other partners. Then we're going to move to the analysis of data, development of findings. Here's where I dive deep into the data. This is where I start developing findings and looking at, testing our hypothesis. Is what we expected to come out, the thing that we wanted to measure, is it the thing that we're actually finding? Or, more interestingly, or just as interestingly, are we coming up with findings that run counter to our expectations or hypothesis? All of that is very, very important. The next thing we'll do is develop the research report. This is where we take the findings. I kind of convert them into an infographic type of visual. I write up commentary and analysis on the findings, and I include many quotes from the survey respondents themselves to kind of have the voice of the supplier as part of this research report. And then the research report will be released, and then the findings will be presented at the 3D CIC event in Golden, which is run by Action Engineering, and we'll have a good, hearty discussion about the findings there, I'm quite sure. So this kind of runs, we're going to be starting this process here in the next few weeks for, developing scope, developing the survey, and then we'll roll on throughout the rest of the process. Now, the Research Advisory Board. So let's talk about this for a few minutes. So this is a group of individuals that will be aiding me in the whole process I just talked through. Action Engineering is already going to be involved in this, and there's a number of other companies that we'd love to have you participate. Those of you on the call are potential board members. So what's involved with that? So it's all the way through this process is going to be a series of hour-long meetings, and the frequency of those meetings will vary depending on the stage. So as we're developing the survey, it's going to be more frequent, right? This is when I'm creating drafts of the survey. This is when I'm developing the scope. So I'm going to be sharing that with the people on board. You're going to be reviewing that, and we're going to have weekly or biweekly meetings during that time. When I'm collecting respondents, unless you're trying to drive suppliers to the survey, and we're kind of coordinating efforts, there really don't have to be any meetings at that time. Data analysis, this is where I'm preparing a lot of the findings, and I'm sharing that with you in a very raw form. And you're looking at that, and we're going to be meeting weekly or biweekly. And then developing the report, this is where I'm developing a draft document. I'm putting the infographics in. I'm including commentary and analysis. This is a review. This is more offline work during that phase than during the meeting, which will probably be monthly, maybe bi-weekly. But the whole idea is that you review the section, you get back to us in a timely manner, and you're contributing and providing feedback. So that's pretty straightforward. Typically, we need the feedback in 4 to 7 days. Why would you want to get involved? So this is an opportunity to influence the direction of the research. What questions are asked? Again, we want to keep scope contained, but in the context that I've described so far, what questions are asked, what answers are included in the questions, which obviously have a big impact on the findings that we're going to produce. And this is especially valuable if you're going to be driving your suppliers through this survey, and again, getting kind of a benchmark of your suppliers against the general population. So the cost involved here is $2,500 for companies that want to be on the board. So that covers the Research Advisory Board. Let's talk about the complementary supplier analysis. Okay, so any company that drives over 50 respondents will get a set of findings. All of the findings that are published, you will get a comparison of your supplier base against the general population. In some cases, it may not vary that much. In other cases, it might vary dramatically. And those details can really matter in how you pursue, or how your company pursues, an MBD initiative. So the key here is that if you want to pursue that, we need to coordinate around the logistics through SurveyMonkey. So I'm going to be using SurveyMonkey to develop the survey and collect respondents. So here's how that process works and why we need to coordinate. So as you can see under OEM 1's invitation, this is typically going to be an email invitation. It can be other online kind of request to your supplier base, but that's going to include a hyperlink, and that's the little line that's in red, a hyperlink that I will provide you. That is connected through one collector, and there are many collectors you can use in SurveyMonkey, and I'll create one for each OEM that wants to get involved. It then tags that response as that supplier takes the survey so that it knows it came from one OEM. And then on the back end, when the supplier completes the survey, we can redirect them to any hyperlink you want. So for example, excuse me, if you have an MBD portal for example, that you want your supplier to go be sent to, I can certainly do that. That's part of the definition of the collector. So as you can imagine, with many different OEMs participating in this, we'll have different collectors, one for each of them. And we can do this in a collaborative way, especially during the time when we're collecting respondents. So I can give you daily updates on how many respondents you have. I can give you a list of suppliers that have already responded, so that if you want your procurement organization or another organization to go prod them again to go take the survey, you can certainly do that. So we can coordinate our efforts around that. Okay, so let's talk about the deliverables. So one deliverable out of this effort is going to be the research report. So I've kind of described what goes on in that. So it's going to be an infographic. Infographics will be used to present the findings. It'll include my commentary and analysis, and you'll get a chance to review that being on the board. And then it will provide responses or commentary from the survey respondents as well. I expect the report to be about 25 pages long. It might be 28. It might be 22. We'll have to see how it kind of plays out. So, but that's kind of the scope of the report. In terms of costs, so if you are interested in getting the report, reading it for yourself, and kind of for your own knowledge in your company, that's $1,250. Now, if you want to distribute that internally, let's say that you are championing an MBD effort, you want to use the report to educate other stakeholders in the organization, that is $2,500. And you can distribute that to as many people as you want internally. If you want to distribute it externally, let's say to your suppliers, or if you're a software provider and you want to use this for marketing activities, that is $7,500. Okay, so excuse me, I have allergies going today. It's allergy season down here in Austin, so I apologize. So those are the options for licensing the research report. Let's talk about the findings. So separate from that will be a set of slides that will present all of the findings. It will not include commentary and analysis. It will not include comments from the respondents, but it will be the raw findings. And what you can do is you can license this so you can use it internally for your own presentations if you're having discussions about pursuing an MBD initiative. You can also license it for external discussions. So if you want to talk to your suppliers and host a webinar and say, here are our plans, and these are findings from a report or a study that was conducted, then you can certainly do that. The way that the costs involved with that, internal distribution or internal use, and this is unlimited, that's $1,250. With a webinar or external use, it is $2,500. So that's pretty straightforward. All right, so that is it. Again, if you want more information on the study, there is a page dedicated to it on the Lifecycle Insights site, and here's the URL. And I will I'll keep that up, and I'm going to stop the recording.